Have you ever grabbed a long green vegetable at the grocery store? Maybe for a salad, maybe for a stir-fry, and confidently tossed it into your cart, only to get home and realize you picked up the wrong one? Maybe you meant to buy a cucumber for something fresh and crunchy, but you accidentally grabbed a zucchini instead. Or maybe you planned on sautéing zucchini for dinner, but what you actually bought was a cucumber that immediately turned watery and mushy the moment it hit the pan. It's one of those everyday kitchen mix-ups that happens to more people than you'd think. After all, cucumbers and zucchinis look almost identical at first glance, but the moment you slice them, taste them, or try to cook them, their differences become impossible to ignore. That's why today, we're breaking down the real distinctions between these two vegetables, how they look, how they taste, and why they behave so differently in the kitchen, right here on History of Simple Things. Even though they look like cousins, cucumbers and zucchinis come from different plant families. Cucumbers belong to the gourd family, which also includes melons. That relationship explains their cool, watery bite that feels almost like a crisp, very mild melon. Zucchinis, however, come from the squash family, making them relatives of pumpkins and butternut squash. This connection gives them a firmer structure and a totally different personality when heat is involved. So while their exterior might confuse you, their botanical roots tell a very different story. One grows with the refreshing qualities of a melon, and the other grows with the hardy structure of a squash. At a glance, yes, they look alike. They're long, smooth, and green, but once you actually compare them closely, the differences become obvious. Cucumbers tend to have a shiny, sometimes waxy skin. They are usually lighter in color, and if you look closely, you may notice tiny bumps or faint outlines of seeds beneath the surface. When you hold a cucumber, it has a cooler, more watery feel, almost like it's storing hydration under the skin. Zucchinis are darker, with a deeper green shade. Their skin is more matte, sometimes with small speckles scattered across the surface. When you hold a zucchini, it feels denser, sturdier, and slightly heavier than a cucumber of the same size. They don't feel cold the way cucumbers do, more like a firm, solid vegetable rather than a crisp, watery one. Once your eyes learn these small distinctions, you won't mix them up as easily. The moment your knife cuts into a cucumber, the difference becomes clear. Cucumbers are made of more than 90% water, so slicing into one feels like cutting into a refreshing, crunchy little reservoir. The texture is crisp and juicy. The inside is pale, with soft seeds and a cool, watery feel with every bite. Zucchini, by contrast, feels almost completely different. It has a firmer, spongier texture. Raw, it's still soft enough to cut easily, but without that burst of water you get from a cucumber. It has a gentle resistance when sliced, and the moment it touches heat, zucchini begins to soften and transform. What starts as a firm, mild vegetable becomes tender, silky, and rich with flavor after cooking. Texture alone makes these two behave in opposite ways in the kitchen. Cucumbers have a taste that people often describe as refreshing. It's clean, cool, and lightly sweet in a crisp kind of way. That's why cucumber slices make salads brighter, sandwiches lighter, and even water tastes more refreshing. It has that almost spa-like quality, fresh and hydrating. Zucchini, however, has a much milder flavor when raw. It's earthy and neutral, sometimes even a little bland when you bite into it uncooked. But once you cook it, even lightly, it begins to develop a soft sweetness. Zucchini absorbs the flavors of whatever you pair it with. garlic, herbs, olive oil, tomatoes. It takes them all in and adds a warm, comforting base to the dish. One vegetable brightens meals, the other deepens them. Cucumbers have soft, noticeable seeds right in the center. They're edible, of course, but they contribute to the watery texture. Some people even scoop them out depending on the dish, especially if they want less moisture. Zucchini seeds are smaller, tighter, and barely noticeable. They blend with the flesh so well that you rarely even think about them. They don't add extra water or change the texture much. This makes zucchini more dependable in cooked dishes, since you don't have to worry about seeds melting into the food. It's a tiny difference, but one that changes how they feel when you eat them. Now, if you'll ask raw versus cooked, where each one belongs. I totally get you, because this is where many people get caught off guard. Cucumbers are designed for raw eating. Their crisp, juicy texture and refreshing flavor shine the most when they're uncooked. That's why they're perfect for salads, sushi, sandwiches, cold noodle dishes, and fresh dips. They provide that crunchy, hydrating contrast that balances heavier ingredients. Zucchinis really come alive in cooked dishes. Heat transforms them from firm and mild to tender and flavorful. They become soft, rich, and silky. Whether they're sautéed, roasted, grilled, spiraled into noodles, baked into bread, or tossed into pasta, zucchinis thrive when they're heated. They hold their shape well and soak up seasonings beautifully. Trying to cook cucumber the same way usually ends in disappointment. Because of its high water content, it collapses, becomes mushy, and releases too much liquid. Meanwhile, eating zucchini raw in big chunks feels a little awkward, too firm, too bland, not crisp enough. Understanding this alone prevents 90% of cucumber-zucchini kitchen disasters. So, cucumber versus zucchini. What's the real difference? They may look like close relatives, but they serve completely different roles in the kitchen. Cucumbers bring coolness, freshness, and crunch. Zucchinis bring warmth, softness, and versatility. One shines raw, the other shines cooked. And now that you know what makes each one special, you'll never mix them up again, whether you're in the grocery store or in your own kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.